The fuck?
Oh no, no! Ah! Ah.
Nice.
Yeah, Game Shark. Break the rules.
My arms are going through some of it.
Let's see if I spin around fast. Okay, I can throw it.
Second instance.
I seem to have broken my arm and I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah. Go Bob, go Bob, go Bob Pro. Bobo the
Played in
Pro.
events like this recently.
Megaphone. How's everybody doing? We've got 40 people
Yeah, he's
here.
got the flag.
That's pretty cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
look at that, a giant foot.
I'm assuming most of you know that this week we've changed things up in terms of how we're picking Quest 3 winners. We may or may not have already picked earlier in the week, but we'll be announcing the winner at the end of this event.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, as a little surprise, this week there's going to be two winners. We've decided to pick somebody in the community that we really like that's been doing lots of cool stuff, and also a randomly selected winner. So that's something to look forward to at the end of the event. So, sorry, hang on one.
He's gone.
That looks so funny.
So first of all, look at this wonderful new space that we've got that Aline threw together on short notice today. This is from a fantastic Unity asset demo scene. Some of you may remember this from some other games. It's been used before. I'm sure Bob is aware of where he's seen it, right? Tell us, Bob, where have you seen this space before?
Physics playground?
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
That's
totally
right,
seen
as
this.
it was once known. It's now known as sport mode.
I knew I
Yeah,
recognized it.
so we are actually working on, Aline is working on a more dedicated developer space. But yeah, we just said we put this in, right? The other space that we had was pretty basic. So maybe it was cool to sort of change things up. I'm sure you guys, most of you anyway, have been in here for a while and you've maybe had a chance to explore, but if not, we can get into that a little bit later. So we don't really have a pre-subscribed topic for today's meetup, do we, Aline? Do we have anything on the agenda specifically? No? Okay. I'm just going to megaphone you, even if you don't talk, so people can see you moving. Yeah, so we don't really have a pre-subscribed topic to talk about today. So, generally what we do here is we do kind of a Q&A. I've often sort of talked about the Banter website, how to get started. That's something we usually go into a little bit of detail on. Um, and I'll reiterate that while I'm here, right? We're looking at the docs page of the Banter website right now, bantervr.com, and in there you can find pretty much all of the information that's available about building worlds here in Banter. I'm not going to go into that just today, but anybody here who's completely unfamiliar, I will say that you should join our Discord. You'll see our Discord is linked in lots of different places, like in the top right corner of the website. Join our Discord. It's a great place to kind of come and ask us questions and chat about the SDK and building worlds here in Banter. Yeah, so I'm kind of just going to jump in and go with the Q&A. I actually have another topic I want to talk about a little bit after this, but first of all, I'm going to just jump into, let's say, general Q&A. There might be more questions after we talk about that other topic. So yeah, we'll start off with this instance that I'm in, instance 0. Anybody here in front of me has any questions, wants to put their hand up, or two hands if you're in easy 2D controls. Nothing. Nobody in this instance. I can move on to the next one. Casper,
Anybody in
nothing?
this instance
It's
have
great
a
to see you in
question
VR,
for
Casper.
Shane? Anybody here have a question for Shane at all?
Not
Okay,
We happy to
anybody in a
get you
different
mirrored
instance?
up
Have we got
there?
mods in another instance with people there?
In instance 2, I think nobody here. I think everyone's cool.
Yeah, we're
Bob,
clear on
I'm
Oh
instance
no, we got
2.
one. We got one here. We
Oh,
can put
Dead
one through
has
here.
one
Dead.
now. Here we are.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Are we having any plans for positions, so seating, swimming during any future development of Banter? So we have different positions and different movement styles instead of just walk.
I'm not sure if I understand you. Can you repeat that again?
So when you sit down in a chair, will there be a chance that you can actually sit down properly in the chair at some point, or when you're in like a water themed world or a space themed world, that there's more gravity or that you change position? So swim, you go horizontal and you kind of swim yourself around instead of push yourself forward, or is that more of a Unity kind of project?
I mean, I'm not sure if I fully understand you, but there is a sit feature in the SDK right now. You'll have seen some of our more experienced users and some of our staff occasionally do backflips in the Goth Knight. If that's the sort of thing you're talking about, you want to change the
Yeah.
orientation of the avatar. So there's a sit feature that exists right now today. It's not perfect. I'll call it beta, but it does exist, and you can sit your avatar onto an object. You can therefore rotate that object to pretty much any orientation you want. You can get access to the position of the hands. You can get access to the state of all the controller buttons while the player is sitting on the object. Meaning, if you're in the water and you want to put them horizontal and you want to make it so that a swimming mechanic works, all of that is possible using the SDK. You'd have to build it though, right? So yeah, that's actually not quite possible yet inside of Unity, but it is possible with AFRAME. There's a sit and unsit function you can call. Yeah, it's in the documentation if you want to check it out in more detail, right? But yeah, you could make 0G controls like Echo VR, where you've got thrusters that can spin you upside down and do all sorts of kind of stuff. Yeah, be warned, it can be crazy sometimes, and yeah, it can be quite nauseating. You have to be pretty careful about how you do that sort of stuff, but you can absolutely do it. It as a larger piece, it's kind of part of, I guess, what we plan to be a piloting system, where one or more players can kind of sit onto objects, even objects that move, and all of that will kind of just be synced, right? If any of you are familiar with sitting in VR chat, that's kind of the same kind of thing we're talking about here, where basically, yeah, you've got a clickable object you can click on, and then your avatar will just sit and be fixed at that position. And then, in VR, kind of from the waist up, you'll be able to sort of move from that fixed position. So yeah, Dead, I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Shane.
No problem. Any other questions?
We've got one more in instance 2.
Go ahead.
Got Bame here. There you go, Bame. You're on megaphone.
perfect. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. So I was just wondering, do you have a plan to bring back the reload A-frame button? Because for some events, or I did a do-it-yourself parkour thing where I popped in A-frame objects while we were in there, and without that button, that kind of stuff is at the moment not possible. Are there any plans to bring it back, or is it just that you have to fix the avatar skins? And I think it was something with the black skin tone that it's now, yeah, messing up with.
Yes and yes. In short, yeah, we need to fix that problem, and then we're going to bring it back. Hopefully, that will be back pretty soon. We've got a big piece we're doing right now with the networking that's going to roll out a new build early next week. So hopefully, it'll be back in at that point.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
We have a question in instance 3.
Go ahead, Aline, if you want to megaphone. Thank you.
Okay, Snowstorm, you are on megaphone.
I had to leave soon, but I just wanted to ask if this event was being recorded somewhere so I could watch it later. Because I'm interested in building a space.
Yes, absolutely. I believe it is. It may be being live streamed to YouTube as we speak. If that's not working at the minimum, it should be recorded, and we're going to put it up on our YouTube page as soon as this is done.
Okay, great.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so any other questions across any of the other instances?
Speedster, you're on megaphone.
Oh, someone else is asking a question. I'll wait.
I don't see anyone else.
Oh.
Go ahead. Have you got a question, Speedster?
Oh, someone else was asking a question.
Oh,
I
wait,
was gonna
sorry.
wait till after them.
Sorry. Richard and Mice, please ask again. I did not had you on megaphone yet.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so how developers have the ability to switch between different instances of a single world, are we going to be able to do that in the future?
By developers, do you mean world
Like the
creators?
people who are making this game, like for
Gotcha.
development of this game.
Yes. So right now, anybody in a world that has made that world themselves has the ability to move themselves or other people, actually, in fact, between different instances. All you need to be is a mod of the world to be able to do that right now, not necessarily a developer of the game. In the future, yes, I think we will be able to allow people to have better visibility on what instances there are for a room and be able to decide to join a specific instance or even move between instances as well.
Okay, nice. That's cool.
Okay. Aline, do you want to see if you can bring in
Okay,
Speedster?
Speedster. Now it's your turn.
Yeah, so if I make a space and I want to share it with like my friends or make it public, is that possible, or do they need to have the URL?
So, as it stands right now, public worlds or featured worlds, let's say, are worlds that we have to approve internally. As it stands, the process for that is just a conversation with pretty much any of us or any of the mods, let's say, or anyone who's connected to us, and we'll feature your world. There is a requirement that your world must meet at least 72 frames most of the time in order for us to make it discoverable within the featured system. Performance and standalone is basically a big deal, I guess, for us. So that's why we ask that. On the other hand, yes, what you can do is if you're using glitch, you can shorten the URL for your space by editing the space properties or editing the glitch properties. You can change the title there, and you can shorten it as low as just a couple of letters. And then, yeah, the go-to URL screen is kind of where you're going to be directing people there. And there is a handy button just to go .glitch.me. So at that point, maybe they only have to type a couple of letters and then hit that button and hit join. Thankfully, then it's in their recent history. They can find it there and get back to it pretty quickly and easily. Another thing that's worth mentioning in that same context is that a lot of people make hub worlds, and that kind of helps with discovery, right? So you have one world you can share with people. Once they have that in their history, they can get to that, and you can have many different portals, just like the portals you can see behind me, which can lead on to other worlds of yours. Discovery is something that we take pretty seriously here, at SideQuest, as well as, of course, here inside Banter itself. So we're always open to a discussion there, and I think we're going to be trying to look for ways, if we can, to try and surface as much content as possible. But if you want to get something featured, just ping me in the Discord. we'll get a look at it on a Quest 2, make sure it does 72 FPS, and if it does, no problem.
Thank you.
And maybe to mention, if you are in your space and you are visible for people, so in your friends tab you have this eye icon on the top left enabled, then friends from your list can see you in your new space and can just join on you without inserting the URL or without that it is featured. So if you wanna if you don't want to show it yet, then you definitely have to hide yourself, or some else people from your friends list can just check out, oh, you are in a new space, and just join you.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks. Good question. Awesome. Any
Right.
more questions?
I have a question. Sure.
Okay, Marcos, wait, stop jumping. I can't click on you. Okay,
Oh,
now.
sorry. Can you hear me?
I'll get you
Yes.
one key.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, so I have a question on the friend request system.
Yes.
I don't get a notification when that happens, and just conveniently, like I decided to click on someone, and then I found out they requested. So I was wondering, like, is that being like fixed soon? Because that would help out, like making new friends and like staying in the loop with friends, you know?
Did you see a pop-up right in front of between the two of us whenever I added you just now?
Just now, yes.
So that's the pop-up you'll usually see if somebody adds you while they're in the world with you. Maybe we might improve on that and add some kind of a toast message as well. But maybe an easier way for you to be able to, hey Rav, an easier way for you to be able to find your friend requests, right? Is if you go into the menu in the people screen, you've got friend requests is one of the options on the left there. So you can check that screen and you'll see everybody who's requested you if you've got any outstanding requests. But yeah, that's
Gotcha.
a good point there.
It was just one example where I was sitting at the family event dinner table, and
Yeah.
they were at the opposite end looking another way. They had
Yes.
sent me a friend request, but I didn't see any box come up at all.
Gotcha. Maybe they had sent it
So
previously at a different time, so it didn't show up there and then in the moment, or maybe there's some problem with that system. We are about
yeah,
to
we were in the
overhaul.
same instance.
Gotcha. We're about to overhaul the entire UI, which will include the menu, name tags, friend request screens, all that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
that's going to happen pretty soon. Once we've got this networking stuff under our belt, that's pretty much the next big ticket item is for us to focus on the menu, rebuilding the menu, and trying to build in as many user configuration options into that as we can. So
Awesome.
we'll get looking at that for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Okay, Vinny, I see you moving your hands up. Are you wanting to ask a question or are you just excited? Okay, I'll go ahead and megaphone you. You're live. Go ahead.
Do you have any plans to limit the number of players per instance or increase the server's capacity? Because there's these problems, disconnections.
Sure. So right now, and actually for quite a while, you are able to limit the number of people that are in your room, right? SQ max occupancy is what it's called in the documentation, right? You can set that to whatever value you want. I believe 20 is the default value. In terms of disconnections, we are going through a networking overhaul right now, and sometimes that can cause problems. Hopefully, that will land by start of next week, mid next week at the latest. It was actually supposed to be released by Friday just past, so we're a little bit late with that, but we're just doing some last minute testing to make sure everything is good. We did a lot of testing on Friday there, and everything does look pretty good, so we're
Yeah.
excited about being able to get that out next week. We think that will instantly increase our room capacity up to sort of 20 to 30 people without too much stress. So we're excited to be able to have that per instance, right? But yeah, after that, there's also more work for us to do around handling disconnections. So what we've found is that our system is very sensitive to even the most brief disconnection. Most applications you use are able to automatically handle reconnecting in the background. You don't even notice it's happening. Our
Yeah,
application
sure.
is very sensitive. If you yourself are disconnecting, but others aren't, it means that your internet connection is maybe a little bit more unstable than theirs, right? But you know, it is that's what's causing it. It's an oversensitivity on our end to more unstable internet connections. But yeah,
Okay.
thank you for that, Vinny. We'll definitely
Thank
be
you.
looking at that.
You're
That's
welcome.
100% something on the roadmap. Okay, I've got Luke's M1 over here.
Yeah.
Sorry, Faye, I see you just appeared. You've probably got somebody else. If you want to bring them in after Luke's,
Of course.
go ahead, Luke's. What have you got for us?
My question was if we were planning to add more. How do I say this? More language opportunities to other people. For example, you instead of more stuff written in English, like Portuguese, Spanish, add this limitation of language to be less. Sorry, my English is really bad today. If you couldn't understand me.
No, I appreciate that, and I think I understand you correct. I mentioned before we're about to overhaul our menu, and part of that is going to be language considerations so that we can indeed translate any UI and any menus to whatever necessary languages are that our users have, let's say, right, or speak. So yeah, we also want to be able to kind of expand Banter to multiple territories, and being able to have our menus translated is kind of an important piece of that puzzle. We're also looking at enabling additional language support for things like speech to text, right? If you've been in the gallery space that uses AI, you know, it's able to listen to your voice. So we're working on some language options there that will be able to at least translate and transcribe what you say into English so that the AIs can understand. We're also hoping we can transcribe to other languages as well, so that you may even be able to use a system like that to communicate with other people across different languages, even if you don't speak their language. I'm not sure how much of that you understood.
No, it makes sense. Makes sense.
Great. That's a good question, Luke. I will note this is typically kind of a space creator meetup. Happy to answer all and any questions you guys have, but generally this is more intended to be a place where we talk about specifically building worlds. But no, keep the questions coming. Let's answer these questions while we're here together. So Faye, if you want to go ahead, you had somebody to bring in.
Of course. I have Wonky Kong. Wonky Kong, let me get you megaphoned. And you're on.
Yeah, so this relates to the I think the menu overhaul and the space discovery. So you have plans to add in like right now when you look for rooms, it's
Do
just
any other
all
people
the
have
featured
questions
rooms
for
just in a
Shane?
flat list. Do you have plans to add in advanced
No?
filters to look
Okay.
for
Just
specific
checking.
types of activities?
Yes, that's a great question. So we were just talking about this the other day as we were reviewing the latest visual prototypes of what the new menu is going to look like and how it's going to function. And yeah, absolutely. We immediately identified having a search feature straight away for spaces is going to be a huge deal. And as the number of spaces grow, then expanding that out to maybe different space categories that fall into different areas and other filter options there around, you know, seeing the latest spaces, the popular spaces, spaces that are generally hot, even if they don't have a lot of people in them right now. Starting to really experiment with a few different filter options to help you find, you know, active spaces if that's what you want, or find fresh spaces if that's what you want, or find hidden gems if that's what you're looking for. You know, discovery I think is a big deal for us in SideQuest for, you know, a much larger reason of the catalog of games that we offer on our marketplace. So we want to build that same kind of thinking into what we're doing here as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cheers, Wonky. Cool. Any more questions? I don't see anybody's hand up in this instance, but maybe there's some in other instances.
Hello?
Hi there.
Oh, sweet.
Hey, Milkers, how you doing?
Hold on. I just lost my question. Hold on. It's there though. Oh yeah, so when I first got into Banter, I noticed I was a little basketball in hands.
Yes.
And then my sound setting didn't automatically like register. So I met Bob and he seemed pretty cool and helpful, but he was clueless on how to help me. And I was trying to convey like, "Hey, I don't even know what's going on. Like, you can't hear me." So I was kind of talking to myself for about like 10 minutes when I first got into Banter.
Yep.
So if there was some sort of like maybe like pop-up menu queue to check your sound setting, to link your SideQuest account to this video game, instead of navigating the menu and then clicking the smiley face and then finding there's a website there that you have to enter into your browser in order to link your side quest to the game. Like if there was some sort of like a simple tutorial, for example, on how to just, hey, first thing, you want to link your side quest. Second thing, you want to link, this is how you fix your sound. For the most people that have this issue, I think it would be an easier entry
Yeah,
to the video game.
you're absolutely right. We've also identified that internally, and we've been working on a new lobby space, right? I don't know if any of you have noticed, but there's actually a multiplayer version of the lobby that you can all kind of join in together in the featured worlds. The reason that exists is because at some point soon we're actually changing out the lobby entirely, and we've put out that multiplayer version so that you can still go and enjoy it after we do. But the new one
Oh,
is going to do
awesome.
much of what you're talking about, hopefully, at least ease you into the game, offer you
Yeah.
tutorials, highlight clearly the sort of obvious things that you're most likely to want to do, like getting your account in, getting your avatar set up, making sure that your voice and everything is working. You're absolutely right. These are all areas that we hope to address with mostly within this new menu that we're about to build, right? And also
Yeah.
within this new lobby that we're about to put in. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we're very focused, and we've already been building some tools around trying to help people acclimate with the platform and with the controls and how you move around. Just today, myself and Bob were working on a way of recording a lot of the cool stuff that he does in parkour and making that available in a public space that you can visit whenever you want. And then you can basically replay Bob doing some of the magic things that he does. And this idea of being able to kind of record somebody and have them be able to sort of present back in this real time kind of tutorial fashion is something that we hope to leverage as part of our new lobby and our new user experience, and how people are kind of engaging with the game whenever they get started, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I definitely appreciate that. You're
That
absolutely
would be
right.
great.
It's
It's
something
just
that we
like I'm a patient person, so I was like, man, I really want to get this game working, and I did eventually with time, but I know that there's a big audience that isn't as patient and may just end up giving up because like things are not working. So I feel
yep,
like uh that would be like a really big plus like in the future.
that's a great point. Honestly, it sounds like you might have a lot of good ideas, Milkers. Are you in the Discord already?
Yes, I joined today.
Awesome. Brilliant. Well, just to let you know, we have an ideas section in there. If ever you just have a thought off the top of your head and we're not here together, please just dump them in there so that we have a record of them and we can find them and work our way through them. All of that stuff goes straight out of there into our own internal task tracking and ends up eventually on our backlog. All of it gets attention. All of it is something that we sit down together as a team and consider. So I really appreciate your thoughts. And if you've got any more outside of this, please dump them into the Discord there so that we have a record of them and they don't get lost in
Oh yeah, sure thing.
conversation. Appreciate it.
All right.
Awesome. Okay. Right. We'll see. Is there anyone else? I'm sure some other people have decided
Anybody else have
they've got a question.
for Shane?
Solar K, I see you putting your hand up. I'm going to assume you want to talk. Go ahead.
Yes, yes.
Go ahead. You're live to the rest of the instances. We've
Do you
61
have-
people in here, by the way.
Yes. Do you have some plans on improving 2D experience of the game, like climbing or something else? Because it's very hard to do in 2D.
Yes, absolutely. In short, yes. I do think that compared to a lot of other games, we probably go further than most, let's say, in terms of 2D mode capability. But you're right, climbing specifically is maybe one area that we could still improve on. Full disclosure, at one point we were completely against supporting 2D mode. And we wanted to be fully dedicated to VR. But internally, my CTO decided he was going to troll me, and he invented what we now call the advanced controls, right? What you get if you disable the easy mode controls. And after that happened, we kind of leaned into it and embraced 2D mode. So yeah, Solar K, to answer your question, we're committed to 2D mode, and we have it discussed internally ways to climb. I mentioned before that we were recording some sessions with Bob for parkour. He actually goes into how to climb in 2D mode. It is not easy, right? You've got to be really dedicated to be able to climb as it stands right now, but it is possible. And particularly in his new world that we've been working on, there's actually an easy mode that we've discovered, which makes things like climbing and parkour and all of that kind of stuff a lot easier to kind of understand. So yeah, Solar, in a nutshell, we're absolutely hoping to improve on climbing for 2D mode. Just to remind you, though, if you're in a space and you can't get somewhere and your friends are there, you can open the people here and click on the little arrow beside one of your friends. You'll teleport to their location in the space. You can use that to sometimes get around not being able to climb. You can also hold people's hands, right? So you can grab someone's hand and they can help lift you up over the top of something, right? So yeah, there's definitely a few options there.
We have a question in instance 3.
I think I've got
And
Yesok here jumping up and down in front of me, and I think he might have
yes.
been mirrored by Faye if I'm right. So yeah, maybe just once
No, not
that
yet.
one.
Can we do a
No.
quick rule? If someone wants to ask that we don't have to find people, just stand on this yellow block. This is the question block. So if you have a
Question block.
question, just stand on this block and then we will megaphone you.
Is there gonna be like a way to look at non-featured spaces, like lower quality ones that just like if I made like a random space because I have like 10 and I want more people to be able to like find it, is there
Sure.
gonna be like a section on the menu for it?
Yeah, in fact, there is already. So we have a community hub, right, which is kind of the space that you can use to get access to these other spaces, right? Somebody else mentioned before as well about their own worlds and being able to discover them. This is something I forgot to mention, which I think is pretty useful, pretty important. But Lunar, Reverend Lunar, if you've seen him around, I'm sure you have. He's our esteemed QA engineer. Well, he operates and maintains the community hub, and if you like, he can create a section there that can house one or several of your portals. So he can actually set up loads of portals on that for you.
How
Yeah,
how do I get to the community hub? Is it
it's
on
in the featured worlds.
Hmm.
Yep, Lunar's
Okay.
Community Hub, it's called.
My headset's dying soon, so I'll have to end my question. Bye.
No problem.
Oh.
Okay, I've got a couple more people here in front of me with their hands up. I don't know if there was somebody else a moment ago, though. Aline, you had somebody who wanted to megaphone? I don't see Aline here.
I have someone as well.
Okay. Leave your hands up there, though. It'll keep reminding me. I see you too,
Or
Yerlik.
just stand on the yellow cube. If you have a question, stand on the yellow cube.
Do you have
Okay, we
someone?
have Corbett. Corbett, go ahead and ask your question.
Nice avatar.
So, I have a question related to object synchronization in an instance.
Yes.
Is this something that is already implemented and I have missed, or is this a feature that you are planning on implementing? For example, should a player grab a grabbable block, could everyone see the block move without actually leaving its source block in their instance?
Gotcha. Yes, absolutely. First of all, no, you haven't missed anything. We are lacking in that area. That's definitely something that we need to build. There are a couple of workarounds. Like the Goth space has some what do you call it, glow sticks, and everybody can pick them up and everybody sees them. They get parented to your hand. It is kind of a facsimile, let's say. It's not actual object sync. It's faking it a little bit. The object sync that you're talking about, which is just generic. Here's an interactable object. I can grab it. I can throw it to somebody. They can catch it. They can throw it back or throw it to someone else or bounce it off the wall, and all of that kind of object sync. I believe that once we've solved the networking issues that we have, we may take a brief period to do some housekeeping and make sure that everything is working and everything is stable. And while that's happening, we may possibly work on the generic synced objects behind the scenes. So it's kind of a small piece, I believe, that we might try to implement between now and when we start the major menu overhaul that I've been talking about. Just to give us that breather room before jumping into menu, this might be a nice little thing that we can add on top. So it's coming, and hopefully very soon. And if you can hang fire, you'll definitely hear about it in the Discord as soon as it's available.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Okay, so I've got Yurluk and Labrat. Unless there's somebody I've missed or has already been queued up. Let's see, Corbett.
We
I'm
got one
just
in
going to
in this instance as well,
unmegaphone
there,
you.
Shane.
Okay, have they been there for a while, right? Because these guys have.
No, you go. This you can go next, Janky. After.
Okay, then you're live to everybody else. Go ahead, talk to us.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, my question was about blacklists. So what's the situation with blocking blacklisting right now? I mean, I mean it's only working one way right now, and I completely understand that you're having occupied with other things at the moment, but still perhaps you could clarify what the status of this issue right now, please.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, the status hasn't really changed. It is absolutely a priority. It's something that we would like to build in. We definitely think that it should be a two-way block. We're looking at the logistics of how we can make that possible. So status hasn't changed. We're definitely changing it to work the way you would expect. I can't tell you exactly when right now. As you said, we've got a few things sort of up in the air. But
right.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Okay, Labrat, go ahead. You're live.
All right. Continuing off of talking about the menu, a
Yep.
couple of things I thought about. One with the expansion of featured spaces. Is there a plan to add some sort of search function or other filtering methods than just is there people in the space or not?
Yes, that was absolutely. I think I answered that question before.
I'm sorry
Search,
if I missed it.
filtering, all that kind of stuff is definitely going to be in the menu. We were
And
talking about space categories, right? But I think we might need to just find that biting point, that tipping point, when there's enough space to maybe break them up into enough spaces to break them into categories. But I think a search will be something that we'll be including out of the gate.
And just with regards to future expansion of Banter, because obviously, if when Banter takes off and you end up with a lot of creators making maps, a feature that could um, looked at that VR chat currently uses is a hidden. It's sort of a quote unquote hidden community labs tab. It's a semi public tab that people can put their stuff into automatically, and then the community can get to it, vote on it if it's a good map or not. And it's like it's a tab that you have to go in the options and actually enable. It's not enabled by default and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
gotcha.
that way,
Yeah, I mean, this is certainly something that we might consider in future, or some sort of variation of that, right? I think, as I mentioned before as well, we have Lunar's Community Hub, which is a featured
yeah.
world, and then within that you can have several portals. And I think that in itself is just serving as our organic way to be able to see worlds that have the potential to be featured. So working
And
directly with Reverend Lunar on that to get your world in there is probably the best that we have right now today. But you're absolutely right. You know, in the future, we could have something, and I definitely like the idea of having that being user curated. You know, so
yeah, and that's mostly what I'm thinking about is just the long term of when the player base gets massive. Obviously, you guys can't curate every single map someone's trying to get public because it's when you get a large flow of maps like 50 submissions a day, that's a lot to handle.
it sure is. It sure is. But you know, we have teams that handle content approvals and QA already. Believe it or not, right? We're SideQuest. You know, we get tons of app submissions per day as part of SideQuest itself. So we have a team of people dedicated, and we plan to leverage that team to be able to test out worlds and stuff like that as well, so that we can, you know, feature things quicker, and you won't have to wait necessarily. We can be a bit more proactive, let's say, or that's how we plan to be. But you're right. You know, having a community layer where people can surface stuff and green light things for us, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I still think that all of these things have a potential place in our future.
All right, thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Go ahead, Bob. You've got somebody in your instance. I've actually got
Yep.
Janky Kong
Yep.
here who
That's
came
that's
in.
it
Is
was
that who it is?
Janky. Yep. That was it. Yep. There you go, Janky.
Hiya. So would it be possible to see on the menu how large an instance is? I went into one the other day, and after having been in one with like 20 people, I think there was only 13 people in the instance, and I ended up in an instance by myself, and I don't know, or is there like an option to change instances maybe?
Yes.
I'm on standalone, so I don't know if it's different from the PC.
Sure. Well, it's not. We're fairly consistent in that regard. Standalone, first party all the way. But no, it's a valid point. Right now, only the owner of the space has real visibility on the instances to be able to quickly see who's in what instance. But you can also see that in a limited fashion too. It's not easy to see exactly how many people are in each instance, but in the people menu, when you go to people here, it says what instance ID each person is in, and they're basically incremental, right? So it's A and then 4 zeros. That's the first instance. A001, the next instance, 002, and so on. So that's a way that you can see who's in what instances. And what you can do from there as well is you can join your friend, which will take you into the instance that they're in, right? As it stands right now, there's kind of a soft cap on the instance size and a hard cap. The soft cap is the max room limit. The hard cap is an extra 50% on top of that. So joining your friends, you can get in even if the room is full, as long as it's not too full, if you know what I mean, or way too full. In future, we plan to have better visibility on what instances are there, and maybe you can just see them straight away in the menu and see which instances have how many people in them and try to join them. Also, later in the week, next week, we hope to be able to expand the capacity of our rooms as well, so that you won't have this problem as often, right? You're more than likely to join into rooms where there's other people. It's a difficult problem to solve. How do you scale that? When rooms kind of grow in size. As we stand right now, there's 61 people in here. There was 80 people in this place last week as well. Um, yeah, I mean, it's tough. At some point, it has to kind of reach its threshold, and then people start spilling over into another one, let's say. And it's always going to be the case that for the first person that happens to, they're going to land into what feels like an empty space. Maybe there's something we can do there to represent others in other instances. Like maybe you could see some orbs floating around that represent other people, or something like that, just so you have a visual cue, or maybe the 2D sprites that you see when you go too far from people, right? That could be a nice thing. Although I'm not sure if that could work, right? Because you won't be able to communicate with them necessarily across instances. That's kind of the scale barrier that they sort of solve for us, if you know what I mean. So yeah, Janky, hopefully I've given you a couple of things, a couple of tips that can help you in the immediate now to get into instances with your friends and with other people. Add people as friends. Here, I'll add you as friend to kick the process off. The more friends you have, the more chance you can find them, right? In future, we already recognize that there's sort of three layers to discovery, and we've been looking at this and kind of distilling this into the new menu. And the new sort of landing page of the menu is going to show you your online friends. It's going to show you any events that are running live or starting soon, and it's going to show you the top worlds where people are. So the idea being that the moment you open your menu, everything is just one click away to be able to get to where everybody else is. Hey, Lukes, thank you. So yeah, thank you. That's a great question, Janky,
Thanks.
and hopefully we'll be continuing to improve on that in the future too.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem.
I have Draco who would like to ask a question.
Draco in advanced controls.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi. I have a pretty simple question. My question is, what are the minimum system requirements to actually produce spaces? Because I'm actually interested in partaking in that myself. I just don't know if my system's capable of handling it.
Gotcha. That's a great question. Honestly, it depends. If you want to make something in A-frame, then I would say probably any consumer grade computer that you can buy or own today will work, because you just need to be able to load the glitch website, right? If you want to be able to use Unity, that bar kind of starts to raise significantly at that point, because Unity is a significantly performance hungry application for it to be able to build games. The same then applies to if you want to use other 3D modeling software like Blender or 3ds Max. And then once again, it's kind of a varying scale. When it comes to baking light, whether you're using, V-Ray or Blender's baking or bakery inside Unity, the spec of your computer can determine whether or not something takes 20 seconds or it could take an hour, depending on what workflow you're using. So, Draco, that's not really a meaningful answer, I don't think. But I guess, yeah, it's a tricky one. It really depends on how ambitious you want to be when it comes to building your space. And I recommend, check out each one of these software applications and their minimum spec requirements to be able to understand where to aim for there.
Okay, I might have to pick someone's brain a little after to maybe help get me started in the right way because I'm running on Acer Aspire with a Ryzen 3 on onboard Radeon graphics. So
Gotcha.
definitely worth the try because I've been able to run Blender on here. So
Well, that's
because I use
encouraging.
that for 3D printing.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, definitely download Unity. Yeah, Labrat's always in the public voice chats in our Discord. Me and him hang out there from time to time and talk about stuff. So yeah, definitely. He's great with Unity.
Excellent. Well, I'll definitely try to pick both your brains later on if possible. I sent you a friend request.
Awesome. Okay. Okay, Rav. Oh. Okay, yes, Rav. Go ahead. You are megaphoned.
I was wondering if in the future we may be able to make our own avatars and use them.
That's a great question. That's a great question. I'm sure a lot of people are interested in that, right? As it stands right now, the kind of customization that you have in VR chat is probably not going to be possible in Banter for the foreseeable. Being able to submit your own custom avatars, however, is something that you can do, or at least to some degree you can do it today. We can create custom avatars. You can see the one that I'm using, right? Not a standard Ready Player Me avatar by any means, but we can create them internally within the company. We've created some for users in the past as like a prize, a competition. They have won a custom avatar. We're pretty much putting out extra additional custom ones all the time in the avatar notifications channel in the Discord. We're open to suggestions if you feel there's something that you really want to have, dump it into the ideas section there for sure. And we have been talking to Ready Player Me about a future where you can create your own avatars and submit them directly to Ready Player Me. That is absolutely something that we would be excited about and would give you full power and control to create your own custom stuff without necessarily going too far so that avatars could become really heavy or could crash the experience for other users, right? That's something that we're really looking to avoid, let's say. But yeah, I hope that answers your question, Rav.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem. Aline, I just saw you phase in. Have you got somebody there who wants to ask a question? You're muted if you're talking.
Oops. Yeah. I don't. Wish for demise. Do you have a question? Okay, you're on megaphone.
Okay. I heard you talking to somebody about the tutorial lobby earlier. Um, is there any plans to be able to switch that out with like any other world and make like a kind of like a home world situation for like VR chat?
Yes, absolutely. I think as part of the new lobby, we plan to make it that also you can set a custom home space. We're talking about it more like a default home or sorry, a default space for you to be able to set. I guess the way we're thinking about it internally is kind of like your homepage on your browser, right? As we know, every space on Banter is just a URL, and we want to let people not just make their own private version of a space, but actually be able to set their space as the public version of the Slipstream Island, if that's what they want to do, or make a private version of whatever space they want, right? So default space, like I say, is what we're using rather than home space, because it might be that your default is actually a public open space. And as part of the new lobby, it's likely we're going to implement that feature around then.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question. Um, will you be able, if you, let's say you make a public, or not public, a private version of it, would you be able to invite your friends there?
Yes, so we plan to have a friends and permission system, let's say, on Worlds, much like what you might expect to see on VR Chat, where there'll be several tiers of access. You'll be able to have whether it's private, friends only, friends plus, or public, and maybe some more in between there, let's say. But yeah, there will be a plan to be able to do that for any world, not just for your default space.
Okay. So how there's screens in certain worlds, let's say like you're at your home world or something, would there be plans to add the ability to, let's say, stream your own like desktop screen onto the screen or something, or
Yeah.
like more options than just YouTube, basically?
Yeah. Well, we have a limited screen sharing facility that we've been using right now. If you've been to any of the Gamebox game nights or some of the movie nights, involve somebody just sharing their screen to a similar screen
Gotcha.
like this, right? So that's, I think, exactly what you're
Yeah,
talking about. But
kind of like big screen, like how big screen
yeah,
VR works.
exactly. Yeah, it's a bit more clunky here right now. You kind of have to build it into the space in order for it to work, but
Yeah.
it is possible. In future, we absolutely want to make that more of a first party experience and make it easy for you to just simply share from within the game. Obviously, you'll probably only be able to do that on a desktop, so PC VR or 2D mode, to be able to share the desktop of the computer that you're on, let's say, there and then, right?
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, what these are browsers, right? So they're not just YouTube. There's pretty much any website out there, any service, anything. There's a massive amount of potential there to be able to pull things together
Yeah.
and link things together so that you can stream any kind of content, really.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Right, I'll tell you what. Let's call it there. Oh, maybe Faye's got one last person.
Not a person, but the announcements.
Okay, yes, I was just going to say we're about 2 minutes till the close. You know what?
Do
I
we
did
have
have
one
another
more
topic.
question? One more question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, you're on megaphone.
Hi, sorry. I like to talk about like there are some people that we met like in these games we're talking about, and they don't really like using mic, and they just like to use the chat box to talk to people. Are you guys planning on doing something like that, like for people that don't like using mics or anything?
Yeah, in short, yes, absolutely. We had a few ideas internally. We had thought that a public speech bubble that might appear above your head could allow you to talk to people with text. That would be really good. We were also talking about maybe using speech to text so that you could actually still speak, but nobody hears your voice. And once again, presents itself as a bubble above your head. We've talked about internally how we can integrate that nicely into the name tag, so it kind of pops up at the moment. You speak, and then it fades back into the name tag in some fashion. But yeah, absolutely. In short, we have plans to try and make it so that you can talk even uh, if you don't have a mic, if you don't want to talk, if you have difficulty talking, for any number of reasons you might have. None of them are our business. We're going to deliver the feature so that you have that option anyway.
Okay, thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, that's probably a good time. One thing I did want to talk about, and maybe I'll just mention it for a couple minutes. I won't take any questions. I'll maybe just let you guys have a think about it. This is your homework, let's say, right? So next week when we come back, I'd love to hear some questions around this. But we've been talking internally a lot more in the last sort of few days about the next version of our SDK and how that's going to work. We've been talking about a potential workflow where everything that you're doing is kind of built in to our Unity plugin, the Banter Builder, as we call it internally. And we've talked about this situation where you'll actually have more ability inside the editor when you're building worlds. And what I mean by this is that you'll be able to hit play in the editor and you'll be able to load in a lot of the web-based elements, let's say, that are part of building worlds in Banter. And that's going to become even more important, I guess, with SDK v2. And the sort of things I'm talking about is that you could load in potentially, browser elements, anything that could be dynamic, that could change at runtime, scriptable things that you've actually created scripts for, possible future visual scripting things. I can tell you right now that Elaine is a huge fan of visual scripting systems, and I don't think we're going to get away for long without having something built in. Maybe it can take the form of a world builder in game eventually. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. The point I'm trying to put across here is, what if the future workflow for building spaces in Banter meant that you had all the power inside Unity? You could inspect and see what Unity was doing with all of the bits that it's dynamically creating, and that you'd be able to kind of use Visual Studio Code to make edits to code in the same context as your scene. You'd have live reload capabilities, so all of this would be happening, before you actually have to build your asset bundle. So, like I said, I don't want any questions about that now. I'm going to let you have a think about that until next week. Some of you I may even reach out to just to try and get some more specific feedback if we've been having discussions around features, but particularly features related to world building and what we should have, and what we're missing compared to some of the other options that are out there, right? So I'm gonna ask Faye to join me up here, and Faye is gonna do a little announcement that I think some of you have been waiting for. So Faye, if you want to take the stage.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody. So I have an announcement. We have pulled our Quest 3 winner for this week. And we actually pulled it back earlier this week during the Let's Dance event. So anybody who went to the Let's Dance event, you actually were one of the people that is in the randomizer. And I can tell you that one of you is actually here right now. I have megaphoned you. You do not know this, but Chatty, congrats today on your Quest 3 win. You're up there. Hello.
Chatty's up here in case anybody can't see,
Yay.
right? Chatty was
Congrats to
randomly
you.
selected.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to keep doing this every week until Christmas, just as you know. So just be in Banter just at any time. We could run the randomizer and then we'll announce who it is at the end of the week. And also, we wanted to give a appreciation Quest 3 out as well this month. And our choice, this was selected by our staff, someone who has been an outstanding contributor to Banter, has been with us since the beginning, has been working on bringing beautiful spaces to us, a lot of magic, and just being there with us and supporting us at all the events. Ben, we want to thank you for everything that you do for us here in Banter, and give you a Quest 3 for our appreciation gift. Yay!
Some of you may know
Right.
Ben from Ben's Toy House, right? That's the Ben that we're talking about. So yeah,
Yes.
Ben, he's been
Well done,
solid.
Ben.
He's basically been here from the very start of Banter. He is an OG
Yes.
Altspace community member too. Did a lot of amazing things back there as well. So, Ben, if you're in one of these instances, or if you're watching this later, yeah, I just want to say thank you so much. Every time I see event snaps coming in, you're pretty much always in all of them. So I really appreciate you, uh,
Thank you, Ben.
just supporting the platform as much as you have. And yeah, this is a small token of our appreciation for you doing that. So thank you very much. And yeah,
Absolutely.
I think, Faye, there's going to be an announcement on the Discord as well, which will go into more detail on this. And
Yes.
as part of our ongoing random selection, we're going to be including all of the details so that you can see when exactly we picked the person, what time, what space they were in at the time, and all of that will be included in the announcement as well. Yeah, okay, Faye, have you got anything else you'd like to add?
Nope, that'll do it for me today.
Awesome. One thing that we usually do is we do a world hop. Usually at these Space Maker events, right? Typically people are here and they're building worlds and they're excited to get us to look at them. We're actually over time now by 6 minutes. But I'm going to encourage, and we also have a large number of people here, still 60 people. So I'm going to encourage anybody within your instances, if you've got a world you'd like to show, slam down those portals right now. Let's bring as many people along with you as we can. Shout out to Casper, who's been doing a lot of tours with people as well. Casper was also the random winner of our quest last week. So, yeah, thanks so much for coming along. I hope to see you again at this next week, and hopefully we can get into detail on what SDK V2 is going to look like and have a bit more time to jump into some of your worlds. If anybody has any questions we didn't get to address today, please come to us on the Discord, talk to any of the staff members, anything at all you need to know, just let us know. And kudos to Aline for getting this space together for us on short notice today. As you can see, there's lots of people who are enjoying. If you've been waiting till now, go and take a look if you want to explore it and see what's going on. There's already lots of mad things that are in here. But otherwise, thanks so much, folks, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye now.
Thank you.
Anybody here have some cool places to take us? Want to go on an adventure?
Same.
Too bugged that you couldn't take us? Because it's really cool. No one's seen it.
It's heavily bugged. I gotta fix
I've got one of mine, but I've
Aww.
accidentally put real-time lighting in it. But it looks really cool. But I don't know
Hey,
how
let's
it's
go
gonna
check it
turn.
out in Crash.